Are you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Well, welcome to the Roundtable, everybody. My name is Robert Bannon. You're listening to us on Broadway World or over here on the Broadway Podcast Network. And if you're a Broadway Nista, you know our next guest. I was going to say, here comes the general, but maybe we should say, here comes the writer. A brand new piece that's coming out directed by Phylicia Rashad. I'm obsessed with this cast, this show, this storyline. What did he write? Side note, does he have Michelle Obama's cell phone number? I want to know that too. I have a lot of questions for our next guest. Paul Oakley Stovall is here. Welcome to the show. Welcome.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for being here.
Should I call you Robert or Bob or Bobby?
Robert is, I walked into kindergarten and I said, I'm Robert. But if you're my cousins and my aunts and my grandma, I'm Bobby.
Or Bobo.
It's one of those names. How are you? Where are you rehearsing right now?
Yes. Well, they are literally rehearsing right now. I'm uptown in the apartment. I'm in New York, but when Phylicia breaks it down to some one-on-one beat work, it actually doesn't help the actors for me to be in the room like that. So I tend to show up when they're doing a run through and she wants to lean over to me and say, can we just add one word? Or, after this third time doing it, maybe that can go away. I'm just doing refinements right now. So I'm trying to not put my nose in it too much.
I understand. Well, that's a question I love to ask writers.
Yeah.
This is your baby. You've worked on this piece and I'm sure it's personal to you. I'm sure it's something that you've spent a lot of hours with.
Yeah.
And now you share it with the director and this cast. So how is that collaborative process for you?
It's, Phylicia and I were just talking about this the other day. When we did the show the first time together, it was, okay, here's your backpack, here's your lunch, go be nice to the other kids, and you just watch your child walk away, knowing that they're in good hands, in Phylicia's hands. Second time we did it, I was like, not that I was less attentive, but I knew she had it, so I was in LA and I was having fun. And it was more like she'd be like, where's Paul? Where is he? Because your kid is like 10, 11 years old now. They have their own life. They're fine. And now the kid is about to go to college and they really are okay. So it's easier and easier to let it go. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Easier and easier to let it go.
Well, this production, what we're talking about, is going to run July 29th to August 31st.
Yeah.
Blumenthal Arts, which is so beautiful, at the Booth Playhouse. And I'm really excited for people to check it out. How does one get Phylicia Rashad to direct? I mean, she's now, aside from her epic career as an actor, she's now become quite the director. So how did this process, what about this show led her to be a part of it?
I was bold enough to get in early. I had seen that she was had begun directing, and she was, I was looking at, what is she directing? Raisin in the Sun, Gem of the Ocean. Oh, these are plays that she's been in. And these are classics, August Wilson, Lorraine Hansberry. And I looked and looked and looked, and I said, well, she hasn't done a world premiere. So I ended up in a workshop of a new musical with her, oddly enough. The cast showed up and I looked across the table and I'm like, wait a minute, that's Phylicia Rashad. So as we worked on this piece, I got it in my head that since her email was on the contact list, that I would send her this play just to get her opinion, just to get an opinion of someone who has such great taste. And I thought, well, she'll never read it, but I will always be able to say that I had the courage to send it to her. Yeah. She read it in a few days, said, this was great. Let me know what happens with it. Please stay in touch. Kind of left it like that. And when the opportunity came for her to direct it, the job was open. I got up my courage and wrote her again and said, would you consider directing this new play? And she said, yes. It's really that simple. You have to say yes to life. You have to go for it in life. The worst that can happen is someone can say no and you move on,
So, I mean, that's amazing. It's a lesson in just ask for what you want and maybe.
You're never going to get what you don't ask for.
That's right. So how do you describe it? I mean, I love this because it seems it's about race, it's about sexuality, it's about family, it's about things that we all are talking about that relate to all of us. So how do you describe this piece?
Well, I think that a lot of people, any play you talk about, you can go back to the Greeks who actually studied with the Egyptians. So you can go back to African folktales and say, yeah, there are about 3 topics that plays are about: love, death, raising children. You know, like the human condition has a finite number of things you can explore. So rather than, when people ask me, when they say, oh, it's about race, it's about religion, it's about sexuality, I say it's about being human and the journey that we take in life, where if you have the courage to live with your full self, well, then those prayers go up and those blessings come down. And if you fight that natural desire to just live in your true self, you might come up in the brambles, or some difficult things might come your way. Now, that might happen anyway, but living in your true self is the better choice, is really what the show's about. Seems simple, but that's a hard thing for a lot of us.
It took me way too long in my life to get there, and I'm still working on it.
I was going to say, Robert, and I would assume you're still working on it. I mean, we all get there. I feel like I'm there. And then the smallest decisions when I'm alone, do I eat that thing? You know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. That I know I don't need or really, really want, but what is it I'm battling when I'm looking at that thing I want, that extra thing I want to eat, or, you know, have one more drink, or whatever it might be for whoever. If you're in your true self, then temptations go away, attachments go away. I'm getting a little Buddhist here, but I'm trying not to. But attachments go away, and you're able to see with clarity what's happening in the world around you. And someone asked me yesterday, what do you want the audience to get from it? I hope I'm not going to steal one of your questions, but I thought, you know, we go out in the world, especially as artists, and we want to make a big change, and we want to, you know, fight the power and all of this. I just want one person to go home and have a deeper conversation with their teenager. And then that teenager, the next day in school, does not bully that kid that they were bullying, because it's not that they didn't like them anyway. It's that they saw something in that child that they were envious of. And then that child that was being bullied can focus and get a better grade, and then end up in the school they want to be in, and then go contribute something to society. I mean, and you never get to see that. Lin-Manuel talks about planting a seed in the garden. You never get to see it grow. It's a great leap of faith to be artists. And it cannot be about, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to do this. It has to be, I'm going to be in my truth, and hopefully someone will see that truth and recognize something in themselves and take it and spread the goodness. That's all we can do. Seems small, but it's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I remember being in acting school, and the acting teacher said, if you want to be famous, there's the door. Please.
Out.
Get out. It's about the word, serving the word, which is what you did. You wrote the word. The actors are now serving your words. While we're talking, everybody, BlumenthalArts.org if you want to get your tickets to see it.
There it is.
So for you, you wrote this. How many years have you worked on it? And is there inspiration based on something that made you write it?
Yes, I've worked on it off and on for 20 years.
I love it.
Which means like I started when I was 5. It's great. And I was just learning to write cursive. It was great. You know, I've been working on it on and off for about 20 years. And what inspired me, actually similar to how I had the gall to send it to Phylicia, I talked myself into a corner. I was in a theater group, a theater company, and they were preparing a winter festival of new works where all the company members could present something new that they had written, a scene from something they were working on for the board, and they would be trying to decide what they would do next season. And they kind of skipped over me because my career was happening as an actor and a singer, and they, you know, it wasn't that they didn't think I could do it. So I stepped up and said, hey, don't I get to put my play into the hopper? And they said, oh, of course, we didn't know you were writing. So sure, can we see the play? And I said, well, you can see it tomorrow. And I went home and wrote overnight what would become immediate family. And so really, it was all because I was feeling some type of way that I wasn't included in something. It was the most base, like jealousy, envy, emotion.
And 20 years later, the run's running.
So I talked myself into a corner. And as any artist worth their salt will tell you, director, writer, producer, the most exciting place to be is in a corner that you've painted yourself into, because then you really have to use your skill set to get out of it. Yeah. And so, like, you know, and then you look at all your great writers. What's their hallmark play? Their first play is somehow semi-autobiographical, or somehow seems to be about, you know, James Baldwin, Go Tell It on the Mountain, Lorraine Hansberg, Raisin in the Sun, Tony Kushner, Angels in America. It seems to be about something in their life, in the moment, in their modern life. And so that's where immediate family, I wrote about. I had just come back from Sweden and I'd had this wild experience, and I wrote about that. But I had to flip it. Like, people think I'm one character, but really I was the outsider in Sweden, and I just couldn't write a whole play in Swedish. So I flipped the Swedish family to a family on the south side of Chicago. Yeah, just turned it around.
And the rest is now history. You talk about James Baldwin, everybody. If you don't, Paul has done his work about James Baldwin as well.
Yeah.
And you all, and this film, you know, it made me, this play.
From your lips to God's ears. There we go.
Oh, I'm ready. I read the description and I think this sounds so cinematic.
Yeah.
To me, I love it. I haven't seen it, but I love the idea of an intersection of all the different things. I was thinking about meeting my husband's family. They're from Detroit. They're pastors. I am this little white Italian guy from Jersey, and the comedy and the humanity and all of the hijinks that can happen when lives intersect together. And it's a piece of, and it's not for just the gays or the religious or a certain, it's for everybody's going to find some humanity in this.
That's right. It's about time, actually, and how you spend your time. You can spend your time being a hater. You can spend your time being a waiter, not a server at a restaurant, but someone who waits. You can spend your time thinking about what's going to happen later. Oh, I feel a poem coming on.
This is good.
But maybe I should write. Or you can spend your time seeking. You know, you can spend your time trying to get to know someone better. You can spend your time it's so much better way. So the play is really about time and how we spend it. Do you feel time ticking away, or do you eschew that whole idea of time and live in the gift that is this life that we're given, and who we've chosen as our immediate family? You know, we've chosen them. We as spirits came down from heaven and chose our parents. We made that choice, and we made that choice, and there's something to learn from it. So spend your time on earth learning rather than being defeatist.
I love that. BlumenthalArts.org. So as this show, and then wherever this show goes from there, we'll be following and we'll be watching. So what's interesting about you and your career and who you are as an artist is you have a Tony Award from being a producer on Broadway with A Strange Loop. Mm-hmm. You toured in the first national tour of Hamilton. These are pieces of art that really changed perspectives and gave voices to people who don't have a voice. It seems like I don't know you, but I know the kind of art you love, because if you put your money behind and your time behind Strange Loop, or you put creative art behind this, and then you write something like this, it's important that different voices get heard in art. How important is it, you as an activist and as an outspoken, politically minded person, to create art that shifts culture in this way?
Well, I'll tell you, if it shifts culture, brava, that's wonderful. But again, I'll just go back to, I've learned, I should say, over the years, that the shift you make, the only shift that you're in control of, is a shift in yourself. So yes, this play covers all of those things, but over the past few years, I wrote a play about Phyllis Wheatley, who had a great effect. Without Phyllis Wheatley, there's no Toni Morrison, there's no Gwendolyn Brooks. I just directed the world premiere of Giovanni's Room and co-adapted it. And without James Baldwin, there's no Brandon Jacobs Jenkins, there's no Michael R. Jackson, there's no me. So He didn't know that as he was creating. He was just living in his truth. Phyllis was just living in her truth. So I am pulled to pieces that are just about living in your truth, or the struggle to do so. So that's what I feel about cultural shifts. They happen when people shift within themselves.
That's an answer that I'm going to take with me with all of our heart out here.
Yeah. And to embrace the struggle. Don't think you have to get there right away. Don't think that even if you watch this and go, oh, I watch Robert's podcast all the time and I always learn something. Listen, watch this, listen to this if that's what you want to do with your day, but then go out, put the space machine down and go out into the world and spread the word of if you heard something on here that moved you. Yeah.
Yes. And while we're talking and you get your tickets to see this, speaking of going out and moving, you're getting moved and inspired. This cast is beautiful. So will you tell us a little bit about working with these incredible, besides Miss Rashad as the director at the helm of this, what can you say about this cast and the humanity that they bring to the show?
I can say, first of all, it's very exciting because it's been a nice chunk of years since we've done the show, and I'm having to release my attachment to how it was done before. So we've got Christina Seju, who in her own right is a Renaissance human. She was one of the 3 directors of A Wonderful World. She was one of the original stars of American Idiot. I mean, musical theater, directing on Broadway. And now here she is doing a straight play, which she's been yearning to do. She recently shared with me. We have Andy Mientus, who people know from the TV show Smash and being a man about town in New York, a well-known actor in New York. Andy's writing. He's got a new piece he's working on that's coming out soon. He's actually, I think, going to be flying back and forth a bit for the reading of his new play, musical. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, so we've got this diverse group of New Yorkers who are getting to know each other as they attack this material. And I can't even express how thrilled I am because I'm learning more about the piece too through them. They're intelligent actors. Brittany Coleman from Company. Yeah.
There's a line I'm talking about.
There's a lineup.
Yes, there's a lineup. There's a lineup.
Yeah.
There's a lineup. So how do you describe your art? Like, what are you? Just an artist? Are you a writer who acts? Are you a singer who acts and writes? Are you a producer? Like, what? How do you describe you?
I am a human who's in the process of being and working on continuously and with care saying yes to life. I happen to do that in the arts, but I've worked in politics. I think that art is inherently political. I don't trust people who tell artists, oh, just do your play and don't have an opinion. Don't trust people who tell you that. Art is political, even if it's frothy. Art, laughing is important. Laughing is actual medicine. So, all you artists out there, don't let people pigeonhole you. So that's what I would say. I'm a human in the process of being.
We can follow Paul. You can follow Paul on Instagram at Tall Power.
Look at you. You're all prepared. Look at you.
We try to keep it. So while I've got you here, I joked in the introduction, but you did have years that you worked in politics. How did that intersect? How did that come to be?
It was 2007, and Facebook was all the rage. And these keyboard warriors, that term that is coming to our lexicon. Everybody was a keyboard warrior. Oh, this person's going to win. And Obama's never going to do this and this and that. And I was sadly very anesthetized to the situation. I was living in New York. I was struggling and I was not paying attention to the politics of things. But then this Facebook stuff and people were talking, I was catching wind of everything going on. And I said, enough with the fingers on the keyboard. I have to get out and do something. So I just took a leap of faith and I put the career aside. I went and volunteered at an event. I had a friend who kind of pulled me in. And based on what I did that day, I was asked to join the team, the events team. And I had a decision to make. Like they were serious. Like, if you join this team, there is no auditioning. There is none of, or whatever you were doing before. So I really had to let it go. All of my ego about wanting to be this Broadway this or this superstar that, I had to let it all go. Was I going to dive into this new world where I didn't even understand the terms that they were using? It was a whole new learning curve. And I decided that life was too short to not have this adventure, however it may turn out. You know, the Obamas could have lost that first election and I would have been right back home. But instead, I ended up in India and Denmark and traveling Africa 4 times, traveling the world, learning new things, experiencing new cultures and foods, working under real high pressure situations. We think Tech Week is such a high pressure situation. No, it isn't. And so it changed, you know, it also changed my perspective when I returned to the arts 8 years later.
Well, 7 years with the Obamas.
7, yeah.
7 years with the Obamas. And the answer to the question is he probably can get in touch with Michelle Obama, but that's besides the point. And
I won't comment.
And we could read between the lines. And then all of that, a lifetime. Listen, I was a poli-sci major. My mom said if you weren't going to be an actor, the next best thing in show business is be in politics. So it's very simple.
It is theater. It is theater. And what I was doing for the team was very much on that side of things. I was not in legislative affairs or anything like that or policy writing. I was in setting up the event so they would have a successful speaking event and what that takes to organize and what is the backdrop going to look like, what messages are told by what's in the background, in the shot behind them. And it was thrilling, heart pounding, never stopped. You know, you'd finish one event and you're on a plane to the next city and scoping out an arena and trying to figure out how are we going to fill the crowd if we're choosing to go to I don't want to say hostile environment, but let's say an environment where it's not a tailor-made crowd. How do we source a crowd and getting into the community and talking to people? And you've got 4 days to do it. It was pretty thrilling and taught me a lot about dealing with pressure.
Well, now you take all of your life and now you put it on in the word and this show and all of the next shows that you write and all the next pieces you do, it's all another chapter and another adventure. What a beautiful life lived. And I can't wait to see what's next for you, Paul, and all the excitement that's going on. People, summer, BlumenthalArts.org, and stay up to date. Follow Paul at Tall Power Paul so that you can see what's going to happen with this piece next, where this is going now, and all the other projects that you're working on. It's a real thank you for sharing so much and your process and your beautiful words and thoughts about life and humanity and art. My show is your show. It's an honor to have you here.
You're going to email me your social media stuff, right? Because I don't think I have it.
I'm going to send it to you right now.
You send me a message, okay.
All right, deal. I'm going to send it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks and congratulations.
Thank you. Back at you. Break legs. Have an amazing run.
Thank you, Robert. Bobby, Bobo.
Now you're old family. Now you're fam.
I've chosen a name that is just mine. Yeah.